On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, we've got the Auburn recap. Mizzou beats Auburn 21-17. It's just Payton and I this week. Kenny was actually still making his way back home from Mizzou for homecoming. Payton was there as well. So that was good. We got his take on just the homecoming vibes at the end, but obviously recap the whole game. Started, of course, with the Brady Cook stuff, dove all into that, talked about that for a bunch, and just what it can mean for Mizzou, how cool it was. Brady Cook's just a stud, is the general gist of it. But we dove into everything that happened with him and going out and coming back and helping lead Mizzou in a game they really needed. So talked about that to start, and then obviously just dove into kind of the game, what we liked, what we didn't from Mizzou, again, in a game they needed to win and did, and went out and executed. So, yeah, got into everything, and then we finished up with quick hits, which on that note, we did talk about the AP poll and Mizzou dropping, but we did do that in quick hits. So we didn't have that in the opening segment where we talked about the game, but we did it later on in quick hits. So just keep listening, keep watching until that part if you want to hear us talk about Mizzou dropping in the AP poll, which is just wild. But yeah, full recap with me and Payton, and then finish with quick hits. Ken Sports Shorts did the Daily Dozen quiz with Kenny not here this time. Tigers in the Wild and headlines. Like I said, talked a whole bunch of college football to end the show. But a good recap. Definitely dive into that and listen along and recap a great homecoming win for Mizzou as they now prepare to head to Bama to play the Crimson Tide here this weekend. So great recap. Like I said, talked about all the Brady Cook stuff, the whole game, everything that you need to recap a good homecoming win for Mizzou. Won't dilly-dally any further. Let's get into the show. The Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Peyton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to the Unwritten Rule. Today is Monday, October 21st, and it's just the Jack and Payton show, first note. But also, the Missouri Tigers beat the Auburn Tigers. The Tigers won on Saturday, Payton. Homecoming was not sour for you. It was not sour for Kenny. Both of you guys were in attendance. Mizzou makes a comeback after going down 17-3 and beats Auburn 21-17. This was some game. There's a ton to talk about from this game. The fight that Mizzou showed to get back in this, obviously going down early, wasn't great. It was an ugly first half, I think, just overall. But Payton, and obviously I want to get your first take on homecoming and everything to end this with you being back. But we got to start with the man of the hour, Mr. Mizzou himself, other than Darius Robinson, because Darius literally has put Mizzou on his back. Mr. Mizzou himself, Brady Cook, the quarterback. I mean, the story of the game, if you were living under a rock for homecoming and somehow missed it, Brady Cook ended a game with a 95-yard drive, and the game started with him literally in the hospital. Eli Drinkwitz after the game, obviously Brady Cook, if you didn't see, went down on the first series with an ankle injury. We come to find out after the game that he was taken to the hospital for an MRI and was basically working his tail off. May or may not have been getting shots of whatever he needed to be getting shots of. And came back and ends up leading a comeback for Mizzou. Drinkwitz, everyone's seen the quote now, fighting back tears. For all the criticism that young man gets, 12 was sure die on the field for everybody. Payton, this is just so awesome. For Brady Cook, I mean, you and I, and obviously Kenny, have been fans of Brady Cook, watch Brady Cook kind of grow the last couple of years as this team's quarterback. We know how much he loves Mizzou, and what a just awesome game for his career arc to come do this and lead a comeback in a game Mizzou desperately needed. That's where we got to start. We're obviously going to talk about the game as a whole, but how cool was it to learn about this after the game, especially seeing Brady Cook, being there in person, seeing him get knocked out. I'm sure you guys got the news on your phone and stuff, but then to see him make an entrance, I'm sure he got a big ovation. this is just awesome. I have so much to say on this, but yeah, I'll let you give your take too.
Yeah, college football is a very funny game because everyone came into this game saying, "Oh my gosh, Brady Cook has so many problems right now. Oh my gosh, he can't hit a deep ball." Like, genuinely, there were people like, maybe Drew Pine needs to get a few snaps. And, well, they got their wish. I mean, Brady Cook, I mean, he got hurt really early on that first drive. I mean, it was pretty obvious he was limping around. Then on that play finally exited on, he just crumpled to the ground on a sack. And I mean, then he pulled himself out of the game, which is how you really knew it was not good, because Brady Cook has probably played through a whole lot of injuries. I don't think he even thought about coming out. That's how bad it was. Drew Pine came in, and boy, he was not good. There's no way around it. I've seen some people like say, "Well, you got to give him a little credit. He didn't sink him." I really don't have a whole lot of credit to give to Drew Pine. I mean, he was a mess out there. He was 10 for 21, I believe. I'll check real quick. But he had 3.7 yards an attempt. I know that number. Yeah, 10 for 21, 78 yards. He didn't throw a pick, thank God, but he did just about everything else. That really just, I think, made people realize, oh my God, they really need Brady Cook back in there. And even though Pete Thamel had said he was unlikely to return, I mean, it was a whirlwind hour and a half, I think is what Brady Cook said, with him going to the hospital, getting the MRI. Then he said he had to go through a bunch of tests in the practice facility. Then he ran back out in the third quarter, entered the game, and I mean, he got maybe the biggest ovation of his career when he entered the game. It was literally just a camera shot of him, and I made the joke to the people we were there with. I was like, this is gonna be the start of the documentary clip, because it was just a hopeless game up until that point. He came back in when it was 17-6. And the first drive, like you said, he had that 78-yard completion to Mookie Cooper that Mookie Cooper came up 2 yards short of his first touchdown in 3 years on. First play of the fourth quarter is a Marcus Carroll 2-yard touchdown. And then that 17-yard drive, man. I mean, just some big boy plays from Brady Cook. A couple huge scrambles to keep things alive. The 4th and 5 throw to Luther Burden was right where it needed to be. The third down throw to Theo Weiss to set it up. Just a storybook ending for a kid that has said a million times how much Mizzou meant to him. He told the team, "I've only got 2.5 games left on Faurot Field. I'm not missing this one in the hospital." I mean, that's just who this kid is at this point. I don't think anyone should be surprised by any of this. There should never be any discussion about sitting him down again. This is his team. As long as he can even walk, I think he is going to be the quarterback, and he absolutely should be. He's earned it. Drinkwitz said the team is 100% unequivocally behind him, and I believe him. I really don't think I don't think there should be any question about Brady Cook ever again after that game, quite frankly.
Yeah, well said. I mean, walking through that big pay drive, like I wrote a couple plays down. I mean, he had the 9-yard scramble out of the end zone that picked up a first down, spun away from pressure and ran for 14 yards on a 3rd and 7 on a bad ankle. Those 2 runs were really impressive. Had a really nice completion to Luther Burden on that 4th and 5 too. And all 3 of those plays, among just managing that drive, taking all the time off the clock, probably Mizzou's best drive of the season. I mean, to go down and do that and win the game. And then Jamal Roberts, of all people, not the guy I would have had on my bingo card to waltz it in for the touchdown. But yeah, I think, you mentioned like the larger context of this, which is, I think, really important. And also just with what this means to Brady, I would go read, on Power Mizzou. Gabe wrote a good story about it. And then on the Tribune, Callum McAndrew wrote a great story about it too. 2 people that understand what Brady has been through, from the vitriol he's gotten from fans. Obviously, Eli Drinkwitz going to bat for him multiple times, notably, obviously, before the Kansas State game in 2023. And then again on Saturday, that larger context is important for how much Brady Cook loves his program. But like this is one of those things, like in this day and age of college football. I mean, you look at Drew Pine, not to take anything away from him. He never would have probably thought he was going to be at Mizzou and might be the starting quarterback next year. You don't get stories like this much anymore. A 5-year guy comes back, has dreamed of having moments like this on Faurot Field, and is able to just have the grit to come back and to represent his school, the school he grew up rooting for, staying there the whole time. Like, you don't get these kinds of stories anymore. So I think it's a cool thing to appreciate on that side of things. And then the other part of this, this was about as good, I think, of a thing you could have happen if you're a Mizzou team that was in desperate need of something to galvanize and rally around. And the way this can change a trajectory of your season. I mean, Brady Cook straight up said it, in that SEC clip after the game. He said, he was asked about like how his teammates react to him coming back. And he said, I learned that my energy and my leadership means something to them. And you just have to wonder, after going through something like Texas A&M, and now you have this, what this could mean, Payton, for the rest of the season in terms of like having this be a rallying point and having Brady Cook continue to kind of emerge as being a guy who keeps this team afloat and can be that guy that's getting in people's faces and rallying when adversity hits because he goes through it himself and everyone watches him overcome it, and win a game that they needed. I've been really thinking about that side of it for the rest of the Mizzou season too.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you need moments like that. Last year, it was the Harrison Mevis game winner against Kansas State that I think really kind of set off the whole what we wound up getting for 2023. Some teams just need that kind of spark, and maybe I think it is possible that if this team is going to really kind of duplicate what they did last year, make the college football playoff even, they needed a moment like this because they didn't have anything early on. They got flattened by A&M. Obviously, you weren't going to find that against UMass. So maybe, I mean, just a dramatic win. I don't really care what Auburn's record is. I know they're 2-5 and 0-4 in SEC play. It's still like, that was Mizzou's first ever win over Auburn since joining the SEC. That's still a very talented team. And again, sometimes you just need a moment like that to really kind of kick things in motion. I think this was a team that really was kind of struggling, like, to find like an identity, maybe just kind of like that rhythm they were looking for. But I mean, a moment like this that just feels like it's ripped straight from the pages of a movie script. I mean, that really, I think it is really possible that Brady Cook is correct. Like, maybe this is something that galvanizes them.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the ripple effect of this could be. But yeah, just absolutely awesome for Brady. I mean, let's be a voice for the people here, Payton. And like you said, no more benching talk. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's been ridiculous. It continues to be ridiculous. Like, this guy is QB1 for the up and down career and moments that he's had. I mean, the season he led Mizzou to last year, and obviously the care that he shows for the program is just awesome. I love it as an alum, like as someone who, like, loves the school he plays for and is going to lay it all on the line, as we saw. I mean, it is a fantastic game for him. Stats wise, I don't even think we said his overall numbers, but obviously missing part of the game, finished 11 for 22, 194 yards. And then obviously had a good bit on the ground as well. I guess actually, no, he didn't, because technically he had -7 yards because he was sacked, I think, 5 times or a couple times, but had those nice runs in the fourth quarter to literally keep Mizzou's game and probably season in terms of those lofty expectations alive. So yeah, Brady Cook, amazing story, warrior. It was just so awesome to see. Other things in this game, Payton, as we kind of bounce around. The first thing I kind of want to ask you about, I mentioned the Jamal Roberts touchdown. This felt like a fun game of just random contributors popping up for me, specifically on offense. I'll list the ones that I wrote down. Obviously, Jamal Roberts getting in the end zone, I think, was pretty cool to see, and the game-winning touchdown. Josh Manning on that first drive had a super nice catch on the 3rd and 12. Like, Brady threw it high, and he caught it and took it for like 15 yards for a first down. Jordan Harris was good in this game. Who else did you notice on either side of the ball where you were just like, yeah, I forgot about that guy. I think Ja'Kai Lang had a sack on defense. I mean, kind of good for me to see, some of these, I guess, role players, to use a basketball term, kind of step up in a few moments on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, on offense, I mean, especially on that last drive, it was kind of mostly guys that you could tell Mizzou trusts. They absolutely, I mean, it was all Jamal Roberts on that last drive once they crossed the 50 because he's the pass pro back. And then on the last two, which that can sometimes lead you to get a little predictable because it's like if you see Jamal Roberts, you're probably thinking pass, but then Mizzou turned and handed it off to him the last two drives. He picks up a first down and the decisive touchdown. So there is that for him. Also, like Mekhi Miller had the final catch of the game. I mean, to pick up 6 yards, to put them in second and 4. I mean, that was big. One person I noticed right away, and it was the final drive. He didn't play many snaps in this game. I don't think. But Trajan Greco, the true freshman safety, he was out there on that last drive, like in coverage. Like they were letting him kind of take the reins there. Yeah, he played only
5.
Five snaps, and at least 2 of them were on that last drive because I remember seeing him immediately, like on that first down play, and then the second down play, he almost picked off the ricochet. So that was kind of one that stood out to me. Ja'Kai Lang, he's been kind of earning his way onto the field. It was cool to see him get a sack. I thought the pass rush in general had a pretty good day. Eddie Kelly was disruptive. Even if it didn't lead to a sack for him, I thought he was good. Johnny Walker got on the board. He's had kind of a bad, just a bit of an up and down year for him, I'd say. Like he's had moments where he's been disruptive, but we were expecting more, I think. Zion Young got a sack. That was good for him. But yeah, I think in terms of just kind of, oh, look at that, like moments, like who was that? Like it would probably be Trajan Greco for me.
Yeah, I like it. There was just some good standouts, like I think individually to shout out. Like staying on the defensive side too. Would you say overall? I know it's Auburn. They're 0-4 in conference, like you said. Payton Thorne, man, that guy is an abysmal quarterback. I just got to be straight up. He is not good. But obviously, those facts aside, I mean, would you say this is the best defensive performance you've seen from this team?
Probably the most impressive because they did have the two. They did have the 2 shutouts at the beginning of the year, but it was Buffalo and Murray State. Not really teams you're expecting to put up a whole lot of points. This is an Auburn offense that has struggled, but mostly with turnovers. I mean, they have been able to move the ball relatively efficiently for the most part, and Mizzou didn't even win the turnover battle, I don't believe. Yeah, they actually lost 2 fumbles. Auburn lost just 1. But, I mean, they held Jarquez Hunter to just 3 yards a carry. He didn't reach the end zone. Auburn as a team, they really tried to get it going on the ground, but no runs were longer than 15 yards. And really, they had only 3.1 yards a carry. I mean, Auburn, I think after some of the ways they've lost this season, was really scared to let Payton Thorne throw the ball late. And Mizzou took advantage of that. I mean, Payton Thorne, he had the deep ball to Cam Coleman. That was a nice throw. But other than that, I mean, it really wasn't a stellar day for him. He didn't get a whole ton going through the air. So I thought it was Missouri's best day defensively for sure. I thought the corner play against a really, it's a young but a very talented room of Auburn receivers. I thought that was very, very, very good. Big bounce back from a couple weeks ago against A&M. And honestly, I thought A&M's receiver room was a bit less talented, but they were much better than Auburn's receiving unit against this Mizzou secondary.
I think that's a good point to double down on. The secondary was good. Like I go back, on that final drive when obviously, Auburn's in pretty obvious passing situations, but that Mizzou ended the game on defense with 3 really nice pass breakups, and all 3 from guys that need to be contributors. Dalen Carnell had one. Trevez Johnson had the last one. I know Payton hasn't been the biggest Trevez Johnson fan, but he did at least make a play there. And then Drayden Norwood had a super impressive one on. I actually thought the ball was complete. Payton Thorne fitted into a window on like second down, and after Johnny Walker got a sack, and Drayden Norwood like ripped the ball away for PBU, and I thought that was really nice. So yeah, I think that's positive. Got some flashbacks to Vanderbilt with that burn, like you said, when Cam Coleman got loose. It was Marvin Burks literally staring in the backfield again. I don't know why safeties keep doing that for Mizzou. But it wasn't a perfect day. And I mean, other than that, though, I mean, Auburn didn't have another offensive touchdown. So, you can kind of hang your hat a little bit on that. Did anyone else individually stand out for you? I know we got the PFF up. Looks like Sterling Webb, best defensive performer on 26 snaps. That's not bad.
Mhm.
Dalen Carnell, too. It's nice to just see him having a good game. I feel like him and Walker, you need them to start being stars now.
Yeah, Carnell was, I think, took a much needed step forward. Interesting to see Nick Rodriguez getting 12 defensive snaps. That's really encouraging for his development. Nick DeLoach played 41 snaps in this game. Where is Toriano Pride? Toriano Pride played 42, so they're still doing a straight split there pretty much. They were pretty much even in the eyes of PFF.
Yeah.
Williams Nwaneri, he didn't get many snaps, only 3, but he had a pressure and he had a hurry, a QB hurry. So that's really, really, really encouraging because this was his first probably the first few snaps that actually mattered for him. And he wasn't a standout, but good to see he was able to make a little bit of something happen on his few snaps.
Yeah, there's a couple of young studs maybe in this defensive unit. I'm kind of excited. And then the other drive I'll just shout out to, like, that I think was just good from this defense. On Auburn's missed field goal, obviously, you get lucky. It's a backup kicker. He missed a 30-yard chip shot. But the plays leading up to that, it was an incompletion, a Ja'Kai Lang sack for a loss of 12, and then on 3rd and 24, they threw it for 10 yards on a dump off to Jarquez Hunter. So, you wall up because Auburn had been kind of marching down the field, and you score a touchdown there, the game's probably over. So I have to, I think, credit the defense for kind of walling up there, and then you give the opportunity to force a missed field goal, and then they do it. So I think overall pretty solid from the defense. I'm going to segue that from a, I guess, good to a not so good, because you mentioned Mizzou losing the turnover battle, and it was nice to see a forced fumble on that Payton Thorne run. But Mizzou had 2 themselves. I mean, there was the one that was the bad exchange between Drew Pine and Nate Noel.
It was Marcus Carroll.
Sorry, Marcus Carroll. Maybe you chalk that up to it's a backup quarterback. It is what it is. But then I think we got to talk about the Luther fumble, Payton. I know he got taken out after this, but I mean, he has never been a good returner, and it nearly cost Mizzou on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know what we're really doing with that anymore. Special teams in general is just, I mean, it continues to be a debacle under Eric Link. They had another penalty on a kick return, 2 missed field goals. Yes, they were longer, but I mean, Blake Craig just looks kind of wild right now. I don't know if he's someone that Mizzou is going to really be able to trust in a dire situation. The punting, Luke Power was fine. It wasn't his best game yesterday, but he was fine. And they just had they could not solve Auburn's punter at all. They could not throw him off his rhythm at all. They didn't send more rushers to maybe see if they could speed him up. I mean, he just kept pinning Mizzou against the goal line. And then that's all before you get into the absolute mess that was the Luther Burden return. And I mean, people are going to remember him catching the ball off the bounce 3 times in high school and housing it. they'll remember the Abilene Christian one where he caught it on a bounce and housed it. Since then, though, it's really been rather bad on punt returns from Luther Burden. And I think they just really have never had a good one. I mean, Chris Abrams-Drain was back there for a bit. He wasn't any good at it. They've tried to rotate Daniel Blood in. He kind of makes some questionable decisions on when to catch it, when not.
Daniel
too.
Blood had the one they said on the broadcast, the last one before, like the reason Mizzou had to drive so far, he lost it in the sun, so he couldn't fair catch it.
Yeah, it was a mess. Punt returns were a total mess. Luther almost lost one in the sun too on the other end. The muff punt just can't happen. That's just, and the fact that he was able to go back in after that, that's just really weird to me. I would just take Luther off punts at this point. It really is just, it's not working. It's been 3 years. He's been below average, all three of them. I get wanting to get him the ball by any means necessary. Not when it has in so many instances really hurt your team more than anything else. It is what it is. Luther Burden is supremely talented. He's just not a good punt returner, and that's fine. I don't know why they're still trying to force it, and I probably wouldn't try Daniel Blood there either. It might be time to look at some other people. But it's whatever. I've spent so much time on special teams this season. I really don't need to get into it any further.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I wasn't surprised. I was disappointed, not surprised when that happened. You know, I was watching the game with some other people on when it was on TV, and I said straight up, like, he's not a good punt returner. Right before that play happened, then it happens, and you know, there you go. I'm glad you lumped Blake Craig in there. I think you're right. I don't know. It's still really raw right now. I mean, he hit a 50+ yarder, but he missed 2 of them, and they were both pretty bad. So, yeah, it's just not great overall. We've had some kickoff issues. Yeah, it's link ball, man. It's going to cost this team a game. It very well could have on Saturday, and please just get someone back there. I don't even know who it should be. I guess maybe Mark. I feel like we've been saying Marquise Johnson because he's fast, but I don't even know.
I wouldn't do that. I don't want to say Josh Manning. Definitely not Mookie Cooper. I don't know. Maybe you try like Nate Noel, Kawan Lacey, something like that. I don't know.
Like yeah, I don't know. Someone who you can trust. It's just it's got to be figured out. But yeah, so 2 fumbles, not great. You know, I'll chalk the first one up to being Drew Pine in, and the second one, don't let it happen again, please, Eric Link. It was ridiculous. Also, I don't think I added enough into the Josh Manning. I'm a Josh Manning guy now. He's good. That guy's a stud. He's like a big receiver. Makes good contested catches. I'm a fan.
They clearly are starting to trust him more and more. He had a couple decent kick returns. I don't know if I would have returned the kicks he returned, but he at least made the most of them. But he's definitely someone that they trust, and I think he is going to definitely be. He might be wide receiver 1 next year when Theo and them are gone.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting look at that room. That's definitely going to be one all off season we'll be looking at. You have the offense. If you're watching on the YouTube, you have the offense up on PFF. The one thing I don't think we've touched on yet that we talked about pregame, you know, this was a pretty good Auburn pass rush that they were going against. They got to Brady Cook / Drew Pine, I guess, 5 times. But just your thoughts being there, seeing every play. What did you think of the offensive line and how they protected yesterday or on Saturday?
They held up really well for 3 quarters, I thought.
Yeah.
The interior has issues. Cameron Johnson kept missing stunts. Connor Tollison as well. I mean, you see here 17.3 pass block grade. I mean, he was a mess. Cameron Johnson was also not too great, but I really like one of the concerns I know we had was like kind of Marcus Bryant and maybe like just the edge rushers for Auburn, like getting the better of the tackle duo. Armand Membu and Marcus Bryant held up really well in this game. I thought they were both great. Caden Green had a couple iffy moments, but he was definitely a lot better than he had been in the few weeks before. You can see PFF agrees. 89.2 just on pass plays, 65.5 on for pass blocking grade. But in that fourth quarter, I mean, and it probably didn't help that Brady was working with a iffy ankle, but I mean, 3 sacks for sure there, and all of them were like on critical plays. I mean, one wound up turning like it could have it cost Mizzou the season if they weren't able to convert that 4th and 5. But it didn't cost them there. For 3 quarters, it was absolutely a step up from the last few weeks, but definitely a step down in that fourth quarter. Again, Cameron Johnson and Connor Tolson, I don't know if it was just confusion or not, but there were several stunts that Auburn would run that just really screwed with them. Like there was just almost all the pressure was coming straight up the gut.
It was rewatching the highlights. It was like, sorry to cut you off, but you're totally right. Like it was more the defensive tackles, and it was like them just kind of working the inside more and more until they kind of wrapped around and then just had a free lane at Brady. So I think you're right. It wasn't as much off the edge as it was like right down the middle.
Yeah, it was just really kind of up the gut where, I mean, Brady with a bad ankle isn't going to have much room to go. And I know there were 5 sacks. I mean, if Brady didn't hurt his ankle on the first drive and that kind of just crumpled to the ground on that first drive, really would have been 4. I think that's a play a healthy Brady Cook absolutely is getting out of. And maybe he's able to dodge one more in the fourth quarter. Just being generous there.
Yeah.
I thought for the most part the O-line was better, but again, that fourth quarter can't be ignored. I mean, they kind of got beat like a drum up the middle.
Yeah, you have to last. I mean, that could be a sign too of like lack of energy, throughout a game. You have to be able to hold up there. It's the most critical sequences on that final drive. Brady was able to get out of it, but it can be down to an injury thing. I think the fact it isn't the story of the game is overall probably good, considering that was probably Auburn's strongest point, at least defensively. So I think you can hang your hat on that at least and hope that you can kind of figure out some of the stuff, like you said, in the interior part of the offensive line and work on that. Any just final general thoughts on just a wild game? I mean, I'm just so curious to see what this does for Mizzou for the rest of the season. Brady coming back. This is a big win. I know Auburn's not a good team, like you said, but I think this can do something. And for someone like me, I mean, you go listen back to the pre-show or a preview show. Like I was down. I picked Auburn to win this game, and was super down on Mizzou and really didn't think this team was going to be able to find itself. And I might not be all the way back yet, but they did, with the events that unfolded in that game did a lot for me in terms of, my perception on what this team could maybe be and how they could finish out the year.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, this definitely win of the year so far. Mizzou needed kind of something good for them to happen, and I think Brady Cook being able to come back in and kind of heroically lead them back like that, just having a drive, like just a soul-crushing 95-yarder. That was big for them. I felt like Mizzou really kind of also turned a corner, like on third downs and red zone efficiency in this game. I have to find the exact numbers, but I mean, I think they made 2 trips to the red zone, punched it in both times. Third down, I mean, 7 for 17 doesn't look fantastic on paper. But, I mean, once Brady Cook came back in, it felt like they were clicking a lot better. I mean, even that first drive before Brady got hurt, they were moving the ball real well. They had the one drive where they had to punt it away with Brady Cook in, but 2 touchdown drives when he came back. It was a better day for the offense. Brady Cook wasn't perfect in this game. 11 for 22. He's got to complete more passes than that. But it was a lot better, and I think that matters.
Red zone attempts, if you care to comment on them, they were 2 for 3 and scored 15 points. So I think that's a good point.
Because they fumbled the exchange. That's where the fumbled exchange happened. So, yeah, and again, maybe that's just Drew Pine being a backup, not having the timing down and everything. Who really knows? I think Mizzou's offense can probably hang their hat on their performance in this one. Once Brady came back in, it looked a lot better. And this was a good Auburn defense. This was not a weak defense that they did this against.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think you make a good point about the red zone stuff too. I think, especially if you're in a scenario where you really can't trust your kicker, I mean, just getting in the red zone and being efficient, getting the ball in the end zone. I still really enjoy the fake reverses and the fake pitches that Brady does to just punch it up the gut. Like the 2-point conversion play, I just love it. I love when they can dial those up, near
They
the goal
always
line.
work.
Yeah, it's great from Kirby Moore and company. So yeah, this was a fun one. Win of the year for sure. My last thing, Payton, before you go to quick hits, you were at the game. You were at homecoming for Mizzou. Mizzou invented homecoming. We can take a little bit of pride here. How was your trip back home to Columbia overall? Did you have fun?
Oh, very nice. It's always nice to go back to Como. Just a very good atmosphere. Stadium was rocking. Not a lot has changed, There's always little things that are going to change every year you go back, but it's always good to go back. I will definitely go every year that I'm able. And yeah, I mean, it was just a good time. It's always good to be back in Como.
Where else did you go? What else did you see?
Went to understudy, went to ITAP.
Great bar.
Went to the student center, as always. Just walked around campus for a while. Went to the homecoming parade. You'll be shocked to know we didn't go anywhere other than understudy and ITAP though.
I think we are of the Mizzou old head coalition at this point with our bar selections. Like we graduated past the Harpos. We like our spots, and we go back for homecoming. We go to the spots we care the most about. We don't waste time. We don't dilly-dally.
Yeah.
Who had the best float? What was the theme this year for homecoming?
I think it was like movies of some kind. I don't know if there was a specific movie.
I'm putting him on the spot with all these.
There was one that had like a bunch of mechanical things that were pretty cool, but I can't remember what the float was actually, what the movie was. There was like a couple really lazy floats, but this one was really well done.
Got to work on the popping. Nice. Yeah, it looked like it was a good atmosphere. I was seeing a bunch of stuff on Instagram. I was sad I couldn't make it this year, but I too will be at any and all homecomings I can get to as an alum. So yeah, hope everyone who was there enjoyed and had fun. I always say my serotonin boost in sports when I watch my teams is the like shots of B-roll where it's like either a shot for Mizzou like overlooking the campus, or I know they did a bunch of like the tailgaters and all that. Like that just makes me smile every time. It looked like it was a good vibe. So yeah, that's a game for Mizzou, and this was a win they needed, and a win that could maybe do something fun, because up next they got a little bit of a juggernaut. They're going to Bryant-Denny Stadium, 2:30 p.m. next Saturday. You can watch it on ABC. The Tigers in Alabama have not played since 2020. I have not watched a Mizzou Alabama game in person because I was robbed of a ticket for that one back in 2020. Payton got to see it, but
I sure did.
Yeah. Yeah, we will obviously preview that on Friday. It's gonna be a fun one. Obviously an Alabama team that is reeling, but we'll talk about that later in the week. For now, Payton and I will finish the 2-man show with quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. We'll finish out the show. 2-man crew of Payton and I, which means we're doing the Daily Dozen trivia because Kenny isn't here for Ken Sports Shorts. I can't talk. So Payton, this is our tradition at this point when we have a Monday 2-man show. How many do you think we're getting? And then we can start.
What did we get last time?
5. It's 8. It's 9 questions. So
yeah, I'll go 4 this time. I think we'll get 4.
I'll go 5 again. Categories are NFL, NBA, MLB, geography, celebrity mashup, chain restaurants, television, movies, and music. All right, Payton, go.
All right, NFL, retiring in 2023. This Vikings tight end made 2 Pro Bowls and caught 48 touchdowns for Minnesota.
I have a guess.
From 2011 to 2020. I know who this is. I want to see if you know.
Is it Kyle Rudolph?
Sure is. It's Kyle Rudolph.
Go. It's down there. There you go.
That's one.
All
NBA.
right, that's one.
I know the answer to this one too, and you will as well. Frank Vogel, Jacques Vaughn, and Scott Skiles all coached this East Conference team during the 2010s.
Is this the Nets?
No,
Who is it?
it's the Magic, I believe. Right?
You're
It's the Magic or the Pacers.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right because Scott Skiles also played for the Magic. I don't know why I was thinking Nets. I thought Vogel might have coached
Boom,
the
two.
Nets.
Prior to 2024, the last time the
This is
Yankees
MLB.
went to the World Series, they defeated this team in the ALCS in 6 games. Oh, crap.
This is gonna have to be Payton. I'll throw my guess. The Tigers.
That was kind of who I was thinking, but I don't know.
This is all you.
2009 ALCS. I feel like
I'm gonna
Kenny
watch-
would definitely know this.
I'm
It's
gonna watch
definitely
Game
not the
5
Red
of the-
Sox. People would know that.
I'm gonna watch Game 5 of the WNBA Finals while he's guessing this. That's what's on while we're recording.
I'm just gonna go Tigers because I want to move this along. It wasn't. It's gonna be like it's gonna be a weird team. It might be Cleveland again.
You can try the gimme one on that at the end.
In
if you
fact,
want.
I kind of think it's Cleveland.
All right, we'll come
but
back to it.
By population, what is the largest city in the U.S. that begins with the letter F?
Ooh. Fresno.
Fresno. I'm tentatively typing that in unless I can
Yeah,
think something
Fresno's
else.
a good one. I was thinking Frankfurt, Kentucky. It's the capital, but that's
Nope,
probably not it.
It's not going to be Frankfurt.
Let's just think of states with a lot of people. Frisco, Texas, probably not.
No.
Franklin, maybe somewhere called Franklin. I don't know what.
I'm going to just do Fresno. I think it's Fresno.
Yeah, I like it. Go for it.
It's not Fresno.
No. All right.
Okay, well this is celebrity mashup for those that are only listening. I think this is Meryl Streep and Vince Vaughn.
Yep, I think you're spot on. You're dead on.
I'll take
typing.
Vince Vaughn to the bank.
Peyton's typing.
I'm pretty sure this is also Meryl Streep. Okay, it won't let me click select. Hello? Great. Daily Dozen Trivia. Let me type.
Close the ad.
I can't. It won't let me. I can't close the ad. Whatever.
The Daily Dozen Trivia is not being nice to us. All right.
Vince.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Bang.
Yep, got it. Bang.
All right.
Chain
all right.
restaurants. First doing so in 2001, what major fast food chain gave out Simpson Treehouse of horror-themed toys during the Halloween season? I have no idea.
Ooh. My first guess was Burger King, but I don't really know either.
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I'll do Burger King. Why not?
Let's throw a guess.
Got it. That's 4.
Let's go. That's 4. We're at your number. All right. Television.
A contemporary prequel to Hitchcock's Psycho. This A&E drama side Vera Farmiga and Freddie Highmore from 2013 to 2017.
I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know. Let's come back to it.
I'm just. Do you have any idea?
No.
I'm
Not
just
a
gonna
clue.
type Dexter and move on.
Ghosts.
Yeah, I have no idea.
right.
Crime Scene. Scene of the Crime is the name of a fake television show from what 2008 comedy?
Oh, I don't know.
Is that when
Crime
Hangover
scene,
came out?
scene of the crime.
Is that when Hangover came out?
Yeah, I
no
don't think that's not from The Hangover though.
Okay.
And The Hangover I think was a little later. 2008 comedy. I don't know. I don't know. Crime scene, scene of the crime. Neighbors.
neither. Neighbors?
Yeah, isn't that the neighbors?
Sure, I'll try that. It's not that. Music. Met a girl, thought she was grand, fell in love, found out firsthand, went well for a week or two, then it all came unglued. Are the opening lyrics to what 2002 Puddle of Mud song? I have no idea.
I don't know. Puddle of Mud. Gangnam Style.
Do you have any idea?
No, I don't.
Gangnam Style it is. I'll try the
double dip on the MLB.
On the MLB one. I think it might be Cleveland again.
Go for it.
Wouldn't have been Tampa. Wouldn't have been Baltimore.
And he's going to listen back to this and be very disappointed if you're wrong. So no pressure.
It wasn't Oakland. It wasn't Oakland. It wasn't Oakland.
Guess. You got to guess. I'm locking you in. Cleveland.
It wasn't. Damn.
Oh, Kenny, I hope you knew what that one was if you're listening back to this. What was it?
We're
Only
gonna find
9%
out.
of
That
people
was
got it right.
that was the lowest answered one. It was the Angels.
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
I don't remember that.
What was
Okay,
the
other ones
geography?
we got wrong. Geography, Fort Worth.
Fort
Oh,
Worth.
geez.
Payton.
That's
Oh,
dumb.
Payton. We should have known that one.
Yeah.
Payton lives in there. Oh.
The prequel to
Bates
Hitchcock's
Motel.
Psycho
Okay.
was literally called Bates Motel. The movie was Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I've never heard of that.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
And the music was She Hates Me.
By Puddle of Mud. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So there you
we
go.
started hot, got cold. Tough look for us.
Yeah. Bummer.
That's neither here nor there. All right. Continuing. Tigers in the Wild. I will read Kenny's for this one. Kenny's Tiger in the Wild is Drew Lock. Drew Lock for the G-Men, the Giants. They played really bad against the Eagles, so Daniel Jones got benched when they were down 28-3. Drew Lock came in relief of Daniel Jones. He finished 3 for 8 for 6 yards against the Giants. I think he also had a deep pass that got dropped by Jalen Hyatt. I read that on Twitter. I didn't see the tweet, or I didn't see the video, but someone said Jalen Hyatt dropped a pass from Drew Lock, so I could have add to his stats. Good to see that he's back on the field, though.
Yeah. Daniel Jones was not thrilled about being benched.
Yeah, I just kind of picked that tweet because I just thought the photo was funny of him just looking grim. That's because he knows Drew Lock's coming for his job. It's gonna be Drew Lock's team.
Let's hope.
Giants stink. 2-5.
My Tiger in the Wild. This is a pretty good one. Very, very happy one. Mizzou Hoops tweeted a win bigger than basketball. Congrats, Coach Dickie Nutt, because Dickie Nutt is done with his cancer treatment. He did the ring the bell thing that the people in remission do. So Dickie Nutt is, I think they also had a statement, but he is done with his chemotherapy now. He is getting back to. He said in this press release from Mizzou, I'm now looking forward to another season of Tigers basketball as we strive to win championships on the court, MIZ. So, yeah, he's cancer-free now. Really happy for Dickie Nutt. Super cool that he was able to. I mean, it wasn't too long ago he was even diagnosed. So, pretty nice turnaround. Good to see him up and moving. Just good vibes all around.
Good vibes all around. Two just notable members of Mizzou, just in and out of hospitals and back on the grind. So love to see that. Dickie Nutt. Also, we have to shout out that Ronnie DeGray and Isaiah Mosley are the two people in the photo of the tweet that they used. That's just great.
2022-23 Tiger Legends.
Yeah, both just excellent choices. Yes, very happy for Dickie Nutt. Looking forward to having him back on the sidelines. Hopefully helping Mizzou reach the NCAA tournament. That would be amazing next year.
Yes.
My Tiger in the Wild, it's that time of the week. It's Kobe Brown preseason time. The tweet I used this week was a response to the Clippers Muse account that tweeted, which Clippers player are you most excited to see this season? And somebody replied, Kobe Brown. Honestly, he reminds me of Draymond Green type of player that can glue a championship team together. Obviously, he's still young, but he definitely gives me that vibe. So there's a guy who knows ball. First
this
off,
tweet is no likes.
So we could be the first. Go like it, Payton. Kobe Brown preseason, and actually this is the last preseason report because the regular season starts this week for the NBA. He played 7 minutes against the Dallas Mavericks last Monday, 2 points and 2 rebounds, and then he played 28 minutes against the Kings on Thursday, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, near triple-double numbers for Mr. Kobe Brown in that one. And he actually might play a lot. Not necessarily for the best reasons, because the Clippers might suck. Kawhi Leonard's out to start the year. So he might get a lot of run because they might be really bad. So that's good for Kobe. He could become the future of the franchise. If you want to spin zone that positively.
Yeah, that's quite the lofty goal, but I mean, it'd be cool to see him at least become a contributor to start.
Yeah.
You know,
He just
sounds like he's had a good preseason.
He's had a solid preseason. Yeah. So there's your last Kobe Brown preseason report. Now we're into regular season, and we'll keep an eye on if anyone else gets signed. I don't think anyone has from Mizzou yet that we know of, but obviously the obvious ones, MPJ, Clarkson, they've got teams. So I'm so excited for the NBA to be back. It should be a good time. But there you go. Kobe Brown preseason report. It was obligatory. Next headlines. You knew we weren't gonna go an entire Mizzou segment without talking about this. Kenny's headline of the week, as it has been throughout this college football season, is the AP poll. The headline actually reads, Oregon rises to number 1 in the AP top 25, Georgia to number 2, Texas at 5. But we don't give a shit about any of that because what we're here to talk about, Payton, is Missouri winning a game in the SEC, and for the third time this season, dropping in the AP poll. The Tigers will head to Bryant-Denny Stadium to play Alabama, who also dropped in the AP poll. They're number 15 after their loss to Tennessee. But Mizzou, 21, Payton.
Yeah.
I was pretty shocked to see that when the AP poll came out on Sunday.
I was quite shocked by that, especially seeing Vanderbilt enter the rankings. They're number 25 now for those.
Yeah.
This is the first time Vanderbilt is ranked since 2013. So you'd think that win would get a little more credence, but I guess not enough to drop 2 spots. I really don't get how you can possibly have Mizzou below Ole Miss currently. I don't. Ole Miss has losses to LSU. Mizzou has a comparable loss to Texas A&M. It's obviously LSU is a better team than A&M right now, I think most people would say, but it's a comparable loss. And Ole Miss also has a loss to a pretty bad Kentucky team, like not a good one. And Missouri's second loss is, oh wait, they don't have a second loss. So I don't really know what the rationale is for having Ole Miss in front of Missouri right now. Pittsburgh and Illinois, I guess you can argue them. Pittsburgh's unbeaten, but I mean, I don't think either of those teams are necessarily better than Missouri. Certainly don't think anything Missouri did warranted them dropping this week, but is what it is. The AP poll is not the one that ultimately determines the playoff order, but if Missouri does lose this week, you're probably looking at a scenario where they could be out at this point.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it'll be number 15 versus number 21 in Alabama this weekend. But yeah, I thought that was kind of ridiculous. And you hope the AP poll, like you said, isn't indicative of the college football playoff poll, which of course comes out the week after the Alabama game, the first one. So, that'll obviously be the real telling one to see where Mizzou's at in that. And obviously what happens on Saturday will dictate, Missouri's chances probably of that. But anyway, yeah, kind of disrespected by the AP voters. I was not a fan of that. So yeah, you knew we had to mention that, of course, because that felt weird and very dumb to me. Other AP poll news, new number 1, Oregon. We had Texas losing. We'll get to that. Georgia's number 2, Penn State 3, Ohio State 4, and Texas is 5 to round out the top 5. College football is in a chaos chamber. We could talk about it in the second one with my quick hit, but let's do yours first, Payton. What's your headline this week?
Yeah, my headline's going to be QB Richardson's late scoring drives send Colts past Dolphins 16-10. I really only did this so I could talk about the fact that J.C. Carley's, it's a bonus Tiger in the Wild. J.C. Carley's had his first sack of his NFL career. He had 5 tackles, 1 sack. So yeah,
and a quarterback
hit. Wanted to mention that real quick.
Hit a quarterback hit too. Yeah, good for him. 9
Yeah,
solos
you have
on
to
the
typically
season.
hit the quarterback when you sack him.
Yeah, I know, but you can still say all of them. Lump them all together. Makes it sound like he can pad his stats a little bit. Yeah, this is cool. He's had a good start to the season. Good shameless. That was shameless headlining for Mizzou because he just wasn't in the headline. But you got to sneak him in. So well done on that shameless Tiger in the Wild plugging. Anthony Richardson needs to start. I have him on one of my fantasy teams. He needs to start playing better. That's my only other side note to that. But congrats to Carlisle for getting his first sack. My headline of the week, we're going back to college football. It reads, Texas fined $250K, apologizes to Georgia officials and officials for fan behavior. Yeah, if you missed this in the late slate on Saturday night, this game got a little weird. Georgia and Texas. Georgia, of course, beating number 1 Texas at Texas. But there was a play. Texas gets an interception. They returned it back to the Georgia 9-yard line. The referees threw a flag for pass interference on Texas, which would have wiped away the pick. And then fans proceeded to throw bottles on the field and act like morons. And then the refs got together and ended up reversing the call. So essentially, officials were bullied into changing a call, which is insane. Kirby Smart, of course, did his Kirby Smart thing and made the most of it after the game, saying no one ever believes in us, which is ridiculous because it's Georgia. But yeah, this was wild, Peyton. Did you see any of this?
I did, because that was actually we were not out at that point. We were back home, and we were watching this. I mean, I've never ever seen anything quite like that. I mean, I can't think of a time where I even saw officials initially make a call and then just say, actually, never mind. You normally get like the flag throw, the discussion, and then actually we're going to pick the flag up. You don't normally get we're calling the penalty, then a discussion, then actually we're not calling the penalty. And they had time to think about it because, like you said, they threw everything on the field. So it sends a very bad message that is, quite frankly, yeah, if you don't like a call, if you throw things on the field, it could get overturned. You never know. And yes, I know they overturned it to the correct call, but I don't know. It was a pretty bad look. It didn't wind up mattering. Georgia won handily. I don't think the game ever got closer than 8 in the second half.
Because they scored off of that interception to make it an 8-point game, and then Georgia went right back down the field.
So Georgia was fine, but it was something. They do mention here the last time something like that happened, it was the Tennessee
mustard
fans,
bottle.
Yeah, throwing the mustard bottles and golf balls and stuff at Lane Kiffin. Kiffin got hit by a golf ball. That's the fun one.
It's funny. We can call that funny. He was fine.
Yeah, I mean, Lane Kiffin was fine, so it's all right. But yeah, just don't throw things on the field. It wound up not being a big deal, but boy, it would have been something that would have been one heck of a talking point if that had wound up really making a difference in this game.
Yeah, if they come back and win, I mean, imagine that. Texas, too, a blown opportunity to really kind of solidify yourself as the best team, because now you lose, you get knocked off number 1. But yeah, like I said in the couple, like when we were doing Kenny's hit, like college football is just in a chaos chamber right now. I don't even know who the best team is. I really couldn't tell you. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think it's Georgia. I wouldn't rank them there right now because I guess Oregon kind of has earned it. But I would probably, if I had to take a guess, I'd say Georgia is still the best team that had a bad night against Alabama.
Yeah, you're probably right. And still very nearly came back. But craziness. I love college football. It feels more and more like the 2007 season every day, which is, go look that up if you don't know what that was all about. But there you go. There's your college football roundup as per usual on this Sunday on these Sundays in the fall. Mizzou's got a big one next week, Peyton. I'm very, very excited to preview this game and get into it. But that's all we got from a recap on Auburn. That's for another show. Do you have a joke for us to finish things off?
Well, I've been controlling the screen, so I don't have one at the ready. Give me a minute. Talk about something else in the meantime.
Talk about something else in the meantime. It was a good football Sunday. I didn't watch too many games. Peyton's Bears were on bye. Kenny's Texans lost to the Packers. He's not able to defend them this week. Seattle won, so I'm happy.
Yep. This one comes from our favorite CV series, The Today Show. Knowlton, what do you call a girl in the middle of a tennis court?
A girl in the middle of a tennis court?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of tennis term. I don't know. What do you call a girl in the middle of a tennis court?
A net.
Oh, a net like the name. Okay.
Yeah. Annette.
Yep. Good one. All right. Yeah. All right. I think something with love, maybe. No. All right. Good one, Payton. That'll do it. Auburn recap. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed if you were back at Mizzou for homecoming as well. We got a big one to preview for you on Friday, and should be fun going down to Bryant Denny for Mizzou Bama. Until then, enjoy the week. Go rewatch the Brady Cook highlights. That guy's a stud. I love Brady Cook so much. That's my last note. We'll see you guys next time.